This is Brian Dragunas from IBM, and in this video we're going to talk about how you can orchestrate Watson APIs to query financial data. So almost facilitating Watson in the context of acting almost like a ad hoc financial analyst. So the use case here is asking Watson a question relating to your P&L, and then Watson going into your financial database and finding that financial number or metric and retrieving it for you and bringing it back over the conversation. Okay, so what you're going to see in a moment is a demo of this. But before we jump into that, let's take a look at a very high level architecture for this solution. So the demonstration will start off with a finance employee asking a question like, what was the 2016 revenue budget? And so that audio stream is going to come over my browser microphone, right? And then what's going to happen is we're going to point it at a Watson API endpoint. And so this is going to actually start off with what we call Watson speech to text. So that audio stream is going to be converted and transcribed into text, right? So if I say, what was the 2016 revenue budget, that's going to come out in the transcript. And then we're going to pass that transcript from the speech to text API to the Watson Assistant API, okay? And the Watson Assistant API is going to function kind of as our conversational state engine, right? And so what Watson can do is look at that transcript and look and see if what is the intent, what are the financial entities that you are describing, and then depending on how much information has been given, we can either go ahead and query the financial database. And in this context of this demo, we're using a database called IBM TM1, right? This is a database purpose-built for FP&A type activities. And if Watson has enough information, he'll grab the data out of the TM1 cube. If he doesn't have enough information, he might ask a follow-up question to the user. So if I leave out the time period, or I leave out the financial line item, or I leave out some other piece of information that Watson wants to know, he'll ask that as kind of a clarifying question. And so what you'll see here is, right, we come in with the audio file that's transcribed, that's then sent to this Watson Assistant service to kind of understand how much information we have. And then once I get the number or I get the follow-up question, that goes back to what we call the Watson text-to-speech API. And so that's going to transcribe the text payload coming out of the Watson Assistant service and then turn it back into an audio stream. So this is what Watson's going to actually say back to us. And so we're going to then pass that audio stream back into the browser in the mobile application or web application, and you're going to hear it over your microphone. Okay, so let's jump into the demo and take a look at how it works. So we're going to start off with a quick and easy question to Watson, and then we'll get into more complex questions from there. Hey Watson, I want to look up something about revenue.
Hey there, how can I help you?
I want to look up a revenue number.
How would you like to look at $49.99 gross revenue? For example, you can say things like budget, actuals, or forecast.
I'm interested in budget.
Which year are you looking for?
2016.
The 2016 $49.99 gross revenue budget was $91,426,720.
So that's a great example of Watson asking for follow-up information throughout the dialogue, right? So I started off with saying something like, hey, I'm interested in revenue. He then asks, what year are you interested in? I give him the year. He then asks, what sort of financial metric are you interested in? Are you looking at the budget, the forecast, the actual? And then at that moment in time, Watson has come to the consensus that it has enough information to go off and actually ask the TM1 database underneath for that number. Right, and so what Watson's doing is then essentially crafting, in this case for TM1, what we call an MDX query, and then we go ahead and fire that query against the server, and then we get the returning result back. Okay, but if I go into this with more information, right, like a very targeted question, I can essentially have Watson just parse that sentence and then go grab the TM1 data for me. So I'm going to give you an example of that here. What was the net profit actual in Massachusetts in 2015?
The Massachusetts 2015 net profit actual was $46,334.
So there you were able to see Watson was given enough information by the user from the beginning, so he actually didn't have to ask any follow-up questions. So I gave him, a time period, a financial metric, the case for that financial metric, so the budget or the forecast, and in this case, I actually gave him kind of a conditional or optional field, which was the geography, and I said Massachusetts. So let's go ahead and try another one. Can you tell me what the total company cost of sales forecast was in August 2014?
The total company August 2014 $59.99 cost of sales forecast was $3,654,480.
And let's try one more. What was the payroll expense budget in September 2016 in local currency?
The September 2016 $60.99 payroll budget in local currency was $22,216.
Awesome. So you're able there over the past couple examples to see more and more complex questions asked, right? In that last one, I gave him 2 or 3 conditional or optional, I should say, fields. One was the currency amount, so I gave it, I want to know this number in local currency. I could also say things like constant currency or base currency. I also gave him a geography in a very specific time period, right? So September 2016. I could have also said the first quarter of 2016 or the first half 2016. So I think what this demo does a really nice job of showing is how you can orchestrate Watson APIs in kind of a very interesting way and to simplify the ability to extract data out of really any database. In this case, we're doing it for a financial database. And anyone who's worked in finance knows that there's a lot of heavy lifting done by financial analysts by just querying databases, right? So being asked by, executives or whoever it might be for information that might not be easy to get to. So they have to create these queries and go grab that data. So the idea with this solution is, could you essentially orchestrate Watson to do a lot of that manual work for you? Now, some other interesting applications that you could do here is you could also have Watson pull up various reports. So you could say things like, hey, Watson, pull up that Cognos BI report or whatever reporting platform you might use. And you can use Watson more as like a personal assistant in a very specific finance sense to kind of help you navigate through all of your data sources more quickly. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. My email is btdragun@us.ibm.com. Thanks for your time.